Hello. Welcome everybody. 420 Live with Jeff Kravitz. We're right into it today. No overlay, nothing to block the view. You're here with me in Santa Monica, California. On the East Coast, it's 420, and it's a state of mind. So wherever you are, it's 422. Not 422, 420 also. So pick up whatever you got, have a little sip, a little smoke. I can't do it right now on the air because then I'll forget completely what I'm talking about today. And I want to stay sharp for my guests today. Today we have an amazing band joining us, Turkuaz, which one of the larger bands on the scene. I don't know how they all fit in a van, but we're going to find that out and much more coming up. And we're also going to stop back and talk to our friends from Umphrey's who did a live show last night. Live at the Boondocks, and we did a little clip with them yesterday, and they want to tell us how it went and touch base with what they got going on. But if you're watching what's going on out there, the news, Civil War II, the sequel, is happening right now in America. You could see that the South wasn't happy they lost the first time, which is why we're in the situation we're in now. And now we're going to try to get it right, possibly the second time. I don't know, but what you're seeing out there is a total travesty. It's sucking all our time and attention, and we couldn't have a guy in charge that cares less about all of us. He's definitely playing to his base, and I wish them all well, but we need a new leader. We need somebody that plays out to all Americans. I don't want to be non-inclusive. I like to accept everybody here, but also I don't see the other side's point on why we want to suppress and beat and the riots. We had the protest. The initial protest led to the rioting, and then now it's a peaceful protest, and everything's coming from one side. But what I'm interested in now, and I think this is the other part of the protest, and this is when the real trouble starts, is when the opposition protests are planned for the same time as these protests, and the two of them meet in the streets of America. And that's where the Civil War starts, and that's where it's going to be fought. And I just read, before I came online, I went and looked at the Drudge to see the headlines, and they ordered bayonets to be put on the guns of all the guys that were responding in Washington, D.C. And now Trump wants to call in I hate to use his name, but he wants to call in the military to handle what's happening in Seattle. So a lot of it's distraction. A lot of it's just to take the heat away from what's going on. But the biggest distraction, and probably the one that we all saw coming, was the article today about how $500 billion is unaccounted for. And the only people who knows where it went are our president and our secretary of the Treasury. Two guys I don't trust with 2 cents have $500 billion that they've given to their friends. And you can bet that Mr. Romp is using it to fund his campaign and to pay off the people he needs to pay off to make sure he has their support come November. So I would really like to know. I'm sure everybody out there would like to know. And if you think the looting was bad when they went into the buildings, and you thought that was bad, that was what you saw. That was the public view of it. What you didn't see was what happened behind the closed doors, where there's no checks and balances and they have a checkbook for $500 million. You don't think that money's being wasted? Anyway, folks, as you know, this is not a news program, not why I come to you. I excel in distraction. I excel in trying to take us all away for an hour each day at 420, because we have enough on our mind. There's enough to think about out there. I'm not just going to add my conspiracy theories or whatever it is to the list. So I've spent the past, since March 16th, I've come to you now. I believe this is like show 70. I'm actually going to pull it up to look. Today's show 74. So we've been coming to you since March 16th, 74 different shows, amazing guests every time. Yesterday, DJ Logic, amazing, just to get inside people's different heads. And, I heard from Logic today, and he really appreciated being able to talk to his people, and he heard a lot of great feedback the next day, which makes me feel good that people are taking what we're saying here and getting a little understanding on some of their favorite artists. So as you know, I'm out there on the scene. I see a lot of music. I'm a huge music fan. And our first guest I caught, I can't even remember where the first time I saw them was, but I walked in, it was like a rainbow on stage, and the music coming off immediately. You want to start dancing as soon as you walk in the room. I'm talking about Turkuaz and I'm going to bring the guys in, Dave and Taylor from Turkuaz. How you guys doing?
What up?
We're hanging in there, man. We're doing all right, as well as anyone can do, I think, right?
Yeah, well, you guys, as I was doing my daily research, and I saw you on the Quarantine Comes Alive last week. And first of all, you have a huge band, and to sync everybody up to play a song, how do you do it? You're not all playing at the same time, right? You go play your parts, and then someone's got to stitch them together.
Yeah.
It's telepathic mostly.
Yeah, mostly telepathic. We actually don't plan anything. We all record something and then we just send it into the cloud.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the cloud. Steve Jobs puts it together for us.
Yeah.
Well, it's amazing. I mean, the video looked incredible from what you did last week. How much time and effort did that take?
A good amount, and we've actually done quite a few things. We did an acoustic performance and a Beatles tribute on Live From Out There, which is still available. Actually, you can check out.
That was that last week?
It was on Monday.
Oh, Monday. So just this week.
They pushed it usually over the weekend. That one aired on Monday, and yeah, it's a huge amount of work for sure. But I think our goal and our purpose in this world is to entertain people and try to bring joy to their lives, and so it's worth the work and worth the effort. I mean, we had a good time doing it,
Well, I'm sure you needed some release because you guys must have the biggest case of blue balls of any band on the scene right now.
we were about to do some cool shit. Yeah.
The plans were pretty immense.
Yeah, you want to tell everybody what you had planned?
Yeah, we were about to do a Remain in Light tour, 40th anniversary tour with Jerry Harrison and Adrian Belew of Talking Heads. Jerry, of course, full-time band member, and Adrian, longtime collaborator in the studio and in their touring band as well. So we were about to embark on a tour celebrating Remain in Light, starting at Jazz Fest in New Orleans, where I happened to last see you, Jeff. And
that's right.
And yeah, it was going to be the biggest tour we ever did, for sure. Playing music with our idols, and Talking Heads, in fact, were among the biggest influences and main reasons that we started this band. So certainly a little bit of the blue balls that you referred to there. I do think it's going to happen. I mean, I basically know it's going to happen when the time comes. It's just not happening when we thought.
Yeah, but you were so close to pulling the trigger. You guys, you got in the studio. You got in the studio one day with the guys, right?
Well, we actually did 2 songs a couple years back with Jerry Harrison and his engineer E.T. We did 2 songs, one of which was a standalone single. One was on Life in the City, our record from 2018. I'm losing track, man. But so we had worked with Jerry in the studio before, and then we got together with them in a rehearsal studio, starting to prep for the tour. So it clicked. Adrian was excited. Jerry's excited. We were all beyond excited. Our buddy Yahuba is going to join us on percussion for the tour, and we're still ready.
Oh, I know you are, and I could hear the influence. You have the one song called "Stay." The line is "Stay young" or "Stay hungry," and it sounds just like "Remain in Light." I was listening to it today, and I can't put my. I should have.
Can't keep track of our ripoffs of. I'm not sure.
Well,
if I ever fall asleep.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Yeah.
Certainly inspired by.
Yeah. Oh no, yeah. You hear the inspiration in the music, which is even better for me to hear it and to pick up on it, and it not be that overt where it's you're hitting yourself over the head with it. It's just like, because I think I just heard you do Cross-Eyed and Painless, because there is a video of you guys doing Cross-Eyed and Painless with Adrian Belew and Jerry on there, right? Or
that was the rehearsal. Yeah.
Oh, that was the practice.
We just knew that we wanted to have some kind of representation of it before the tour actually began, and so what you're seeing, that's our first time playing with them is that video,
right?
It's a snippet, and but yeah, no, this huge part of our influence, undoubtedly, and to be able to do this with them, which I'm still confident we will, is an absolute honor and a pleasure. And I think, also touring for as long as we have, I mean, really 7 years straight, coming up on 8 years straight. Our previous longest break we'd ever taken was 5 weeks, ever.
Wow.
And so,
well, you're not alone. I mean,
No.
almost every band out there is in the same boat, which is very interesting too.
It's the only way to make money. Yeah, it's the only realistic way to make money, and even that's a stretch. It took years. I mean, you mentioned how do we all fit in a van? Like we did for a long time, and slowly we've upgraded various things. But like it's a lot of years of making no money, and then touring really is one of the only ways to end up making money if you can stick it out that long. So this was a break in playing our music. We don't want to get burnt out on doing the same shows. I mean, we change set list night to night, maybe not as much as another jam band might do, but still, this was going to be a chance to do something really different for a while. Turned out we are doing something really different for a while, but
yes, you are
all the way that we thought.
Yes, you are. This is probably the longest you've been home in a long time too.
I mean, in my adult life, yeah, pretty. I mean,
do you have kids?
No.
Oh, well, you better be careful.
We rescued a cat from our backyard.
You better be careful because you're home long enough.
I know. Taylor's back.
Hey, sorry, guys, not sure what happened there.
I didn't address your absence because I wanted, maybe it was like planned, or you had a big comeback planned. Or...
It was more of my computer freaked out and froze.
Got it.
Hey, listen, doing this live, everything that's been able to happen to anybody has happened to me. I've experienced it all. So one thing I've learned is just roll with it. People pop in, they'll pop back. I hit Jason up. I'm like, is he okay? And he's like, yeah, his computer froze. I'll be back in a second. So Taylor, we were talking about your aborted tour that you guys were just about to go on. How excited were you for that?
Oh, I'm just so happy it's not happening. No, I mean, I don't know exactly what Dave said, but I imagine he brought up the whole we're gigantic Talking Heads fans, and this was something we were very, very excited and honored to get to be able to be a part of and do. And not to mention, it was just going to be sort of a bunch of firsts for us. Might be freezing.
To go out, well, you guys going to do a couple your songs too, and a couple Talking Heads songs and mix it up?
Yeah. I mean, it was going to be primarily the songs that were played on the Remain in Light tour. But then, we're going to do. Well, I'll let Dave say what the final plan was. We had a few different plans along the way there as we were putting it together. Yeah,
no, I mean, you pretty much covered it. It was almost more in celebration of the touring band at that time following Remain in Light, or I should say as much so as the Remain in Light record itself. There's only 8 songs on the record. It's like 4 minutes long. And that tour involved a serious reinvention of some of their back catalog. In this way that is more of an ensemble, large band style performance.
Well, yeah, because they had 8 people on stage too.
Exactly. So I think that's part of the reason that Jerry, after having recorded with us, thought we play the music well, we have the instrumentation and beyond.
Yeah,
to do those things. So we were looking at that Rome show as well as a few others in that tour. But
Rome 880, right? Yeah, that's the famous show that everybody references.
Yeah, and Taylor showed me that show years ago. It's mind-blowing. It's a mind-blowing sort of fusion of what they became with Stop Making Sense, which was our biggest influence for a while, and what they were before, like the CBGB era. It's this perfect little amalgam right there, that point in history, at that point,
right? From the punk band to the funk band.
Yeah, exactly.
And I actually, I'm old enough. I went to Remain in Light. I saw it in '81 at the Mann Music Center in Philadelphia.
Oh my God! Yeah.
I went up. It was a summer night. Went up to the Mann. I probably scalped the ticket out front, and I brought a camera with me, and I brought a small Walkman in my back pocket, and I got them both in. And I don't know where the tape is, but some of the pictures are actually up on Getty. I have up on the website.
Oh, you could record with a Walkman, you're saying?
Well, I tried. I had it in my back pocket. It was a little muffled. I didn't really have real mics. I wasn't really thinking it through. I'm like, I should just take this tape recorder in with me so I have a tape. You know,
You still have
so
that? Still have that recording?
No, I don't think so. Maybe in my mom's somewhere in the basement.
Yeah,
But I'm sure there are some great tapes from that run, and it blew me away because he would come out in the beginning, it'd just be him and the tape recorder, doing Psycho Killer, and then one by one, everybody would hit the stage. Were you going to do something similar to that? I don't want to. No, don't even tell me, because I'm sure that's just your staging, right?
We were still figuring it out. I mean, we had a song list, we had a rehearsal, and we had a bunch more rehearsals planned. Like literally, like the day that New York locked down, was the day we had to make a call because the rehearsals were a few days later in New York at SIR, the final series of rehearsals we were going to have. So that's the kind of stuff that was going to get hashed out. We certainly had a plan and we had a set list and we had played, but it was going to get much further refined. And of course, will get much further refined when that time comes again.
Well,
but,
I was excited to see it, and especially because you were going to be at Bonnaroo also on that tour too. And today would have been, which night were you at Bonnaroo? Were you Friday?
I think it was 2 nights ago, the 8th, or 3 nights ago.
No, it's Bonnaroo's coming up.
Oh wait,
it would be this weekend.
Oh, you're right. It would be tomorrow.
So you play Friday night.
Yeah.
And I think one of the first places I saw you was at Bonnaroo, possibly, right?
Yeah, we played there. I don't remember what year. Maybe
2018, 17, something like that.
Yeah,
somewhere around there. And it just blown away show. How was it? You've done many festivals. What's your feeling when you go? Was that one of the first big ones you've done?
That felt a little different. Yeah, I think it was the biggest in size that we had done in terms of the overall festival. Yes. So, and it felt different. Perhaps we played to similar size crowds before, but it had a different energy about it, and a feeling you can kind of feel when you're being exposed to a group of people that have definitely not seen you or heard of you before, and they're enjoying it. And that's right. I think that Bonnaroo set was one of the most concentrated moments of that feeling that I've personally had on stage.
And that's just the nature of Bonnaroo, where the people are very accepting of everything and they just show up.
Yeah, and it's eclectic festival. They're just like music fans, I think. And
have you been as a fan or just as an artist?
No, only as an artist. I've never been to a festival as a fan in my life.
You didn't go to Jazz Fest one of those days when you were in New Orleans?
Oh, well, I mean, but I was there because I was performing.
Oh, but you're talking about when you got to Bonnaroo, you'd never been to a festival as a fan.
Well, no, when I got to our first festival as Turkuaz. I mean, really all I mean to say is that until Turkuaz started getting invited to festivals, it was not something I've never attended a festival that we haven't been playing at. I guess other than Jazz Fest, that's a good point, because we weren't playing the official Jazz Fest. We were playing in clubs and stuff.
Yeah, you play at nighttime, you go during the day.
And I did go, and it was a little too hot for me, actually, to be honest. But
Taylor's back.
I saw Pearl Jam for a second.
Maybe third time's the charm.
Yeah. Well, Jazz Fest, the thing about Jazz Fest is incredibly hot there. Like that fairgrounds gets cooking.
Yes.
But
Pearl Jam, my favorite jazz band, of course.
It's Pearl Jam.
And the Who too. All my favorite jazz bands.
I liked the jazz band called Katy Perry.
That was a good jazz band.
Actually, it was a very good show.
Miles, Coltrane, Perry.
Coltrane. Yeah, well, people get so confused by Jazz Fest because you tell me you're going to Jazz Fest and like, oh, you like jazz? I'm like, no, it's not just jazz.
I kind of wish it was.
They have a tent. They have one tent, I believe.
Yeah.
Well, yes, they do. And it's interesting with jazz there could also be not just straight ahead jazz. It's also that old New Orleans, meters-y kinds of stuff. I mean, New Orleans is a huge influence, as you guys know. So you guys were roommates. You guys lived together for a while. Was that before you started the band? Were you living together?
Yeah.
Yeah, for a little while. We started it pretty quickly afterwards, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think there was sort of a slow start, was kind of a process of us just like working on music together over maybe like a year and a half, I guess. So we were kind of working on many different things. And then this kind of came out of that as we sort of made the first songs, for
And how did you build the band? Because like I said, you guys got a lot of people in that band. Are you done?
Who knows?
Jerry Harris, Adrian Ballou, obviously not.
It's difficult. It's a difficult size to manage as is. So it's always a challenge adding members, which throughout the years has been some very slight lineup changes, but we've been exactly the same for the last 5 years. But as Taylor said, I built a little control room, a little studio in our house that we shared, and he would just Tay would come knock on my door sometimes and be like, "Hey, you want to just work on like this weird little thing that I made?" And in the midst of these other projects I was either being hired to do or thought was like my main focus, and that proved to be the Turkuaz stuff. We were just having fun, and just he's like, "Here's this disco beat, write something over it," and that's.
So do you do the song? You write the words? Do you do
most of them, but most of them historically and still, I suppose. But there's been a lot more contribution lately from other band members on lyrical stuff. In fact, the song you brought up earlier, "If I Ever Fall Asleep," Josh wrote almost every word of that song, and I made the backing. I made the instrumental part first, sent it to him. He wrote it. We worked on it again together and finalized it. So I'm enjoying having a little more collaboration, but no, historically and back then, writing all the lyric.
And then how did you find your other members in the band?
Well, we were at Berklee College of Music at the time, so it was largely through that community of people, and that's actually who called us to do our first performance showcase for 1,000 people at the school. So we just called all of our friends, honestly. And from then, that's kind of like this before time era, as I refer to it sometimes, that some of the lineup has changed, but Taylor, I, and the horns were there day one. And then over the next basically 2-3 years, we solidified the other members. As we started to tour full time, it became, people have to make a decision of like, do I want to be a psycho and be in a van for my whole life?
Yeah. Do I want to try to make this band work with 12 people? Or what was it? 11, 10, 11? How many are there? I tried to count.
Well, it was 10, and our really good buddy, Steve Malinowski, who passed away actually a few years ago, lived down in New Orleans, and amazing keys player. We never replaced Steve, and Future 86 is the album of ours where you can really hear he is just absolutely all over that record, and it's like the spirit of him lives in that record. And we after that happened, we were after he left, Craig and Chris picked up keys, and then, he didn't pass away until a little bit later. So sorry, not to be a bummer, but that was a really special chapter in the band that, although really sad to have lost him, we always remember that fondly. So we were 10 at that point, and then we've been 9 ever since he left.
Yep. Yeah, it was an interesting process too, just having sort of Craig and Chris kind of jump in, and that's when their sort of double and triple duty roles started in the band. Sort of was when we launched into that first tour after Steve moved to New Orleans. It sort of ended up, I think, musically speaking, it ended up sort of having a lot to do with the sound that kind of came out of it, because it was sort of a forced change via, sort of, or whatever, necessity forces change kind of a situation, and ended up being really, good for the music that came after it. And, think back on the time with Steve, obviously super fondly and miss him dearly, but sort of an interesting musical shift that happened as a result of that.
Yeah. It's there's definite chapters there. And I was nervous about people. I mean, if you've seen us, you've got Chris playing trumpet and playing organ, via Nord, but with a real Leslie at the same time. And you got Craig switching back and forth like a madman between keys and guitar, like somehow doing both at the same time some of the times. So.
And very well, both.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's a great player.
I doubted it at first. I was like, this is never going to work. We're definitely going to need to get another keys player. But man, they really made it work. So.
Well, and also the guy's like, wait, that's 1/10 of the check.
Right. Well, yeah. And then you got, you hire more crew, and you got to go to a bus because hotels start being too expensive, and then it makes sense to have your lodging and your transportation be one thing. Together, and that creates, it's like this domino effect of, there is a growing pains era, I think, of touring, from being a van band to being
a bus band. Well,
yeah,
you probably need two buses, probably, right?
We could. We wish we had two buses. No, we can't. We can't afford that.
But I do feel like with every touring band, there's kind of that like whenever I've talked to younger bands about, you know, sort of how do you get from point A to point B once you sort of have something you want to take on the road, and there is always that point of saying what dates you can do is how you start, and then when you turn that conversation to what dates you can't do is really when you know that you're ready to be on the road all the time, because
that's the only time. Yeah,
it's the only way to do it. Everyone has to kind of clear the deck and make it their priority, otherwise it's not going to happen.
Yeah, because that's really taking a lot of people for the ride early on when you're not making money yet. You got 10 people that you're like, okay, come on, let's play this gig. How much we got? $200. And you're like, oh, geez, you know? So
years of that.
Years of that.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, we didn't get any money for a long time. Or, you know, individually, I think we just used the money we had for hotels and gas and whatever else.
Making CDs or whatever, yeah.
Making
right.
CDs.
To feed the band and to keep you guys on the road.
I mean, I think, too, it started a little bit like, you know, the lightning in the bottle that happened sort of at Dave and I's apartment, where it felt like, I think to everyone at the time, like, wow, we really got something here. That sustained, you know, still sustains to this day, but certainly is the reason that we were able to, you know, kind of convince everybody or have everyone really excitedly want to go and put their lives into this, you know?
Yeah. Well, the effect is unbelievable. The band's so good live. So let's talk about, you guys have, with the new record, you shed the color.
Yeah, we did the EP as a bit of a palate cleanser. Yeah, some people became quite upset over that. Some of our older, I've said this before, but some of our older fans assured them that, you know, we saw them before the colors. It was good. You're still gonna have a good time. Don't worry. But it was a palette cleanser. It was only an EP. It was a sequel to one of our old EPs that was Stereochrome and then Quadrochrome. So we went with this 4-color sort of more muted tones palette. It was also meant we didn't announce it at the time, but to lead us into that Talking Heads era, because we needed to find a way to make that show its own thing and cohesive. And we didn't want the whole colors thing to be a discussion of, oh, why did you guys lose it when the Talking Heads thing's happening? Because it was just too many questions to answer. So we wanted to sort of like do a segue.
Well, I will say it gives you a lot better choices of guitars.
Yeah, more. Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny. I actually got my buddy Nesto actually made me this amazing turquoise guitar that I had been asking about for like a year or something, and we finally got around to it. And then right when he gave it to me is pretty much when we actually decided to do it. Unrelated. I mean, the guitar is great. I played it at the Blue Note in Tokyo. I got my, I think that was the last time I played it.
You know, it was such an amazing look. Like when the way you guys came off the stage, when I just remember like walking in and looking at the stage going, wow, what the hell's going on up there? You couldn't even make, especially if you're a little high and you're looking up and you just see all those colors coming off the stage. Not your typical band, but great for that time. It was great. And I understand changing and maturing and changing the look. I mean, many bands over the years have changed look. And I like the way the girls all look in the black and the brown in the video, the latest heat drop. Right.
Yeah.
Looked really great. The style looked great. And also I noticed some Talking Heads influences in that video too.
Yeah. And I think that, you know, it is important to have eras as a band. And like, we want to stay ahead of when fans finally get tired of something. Like if we're tired of it, we want to get ahead of it and move on. And our plan as time goes on, the whole band, as we discuss it, along with my wife, Danny, who travels with the band, creative director for us, huge part of all of those discussions. Like, you know, we're always planning what a phase is going to look like, and we want our show to continue to evolve, and hopefully in the future that continues to involve things that are equally as impressive or memorable as the colors were. You know, I mean, we're going to keep reinventing.
So
yeah, I think.
Go ahead, Taylor. No, please go ahead.
I was just going to say that, you know, I think, you know, we were also at a point where we've been doing it for a long time, and it was never the visual intent. Like this is the, you know, the colors was meant to be an era of the band in its inception anyway. So it felt like the right time both with the Heads thing and the new EP, and I think everyone was at a point where it's like, we're ready for something new. The Colors thing feels so defining, in terms of what people say about the band. Maybe this is a good time to take a chance, and that'll incite some of the musical choices that will make, hopefully, pushing ourselves to take chances in that realm too, and just do new things, make new sounds, all that.
And we had the film Nuns a Ton, which
Right.
encapsulated that show, that era of that the music and really well represents the Colors.
Talk a little bit about your concert film, because I saw a little bit of that too. It looked amazing. It sounded great. It looked amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a lot of work went into that. It was a long time coming. I think we started talking about it and planning it a couple of years before it happened. And it was one of those things. It was like, let's capture this, because we want to have the courage to change the show. But it would, there was a lack of, I think, well captured. The essence of our show had not been successfully captured quite yet, I think.
Yeah.
And so it was a chance to do that.
Well, it felt to me like, I know we'd started talking about it before making the decision to change the Colors thing, but certainly with that in mind, as we were making it, it felt like, all right, this is really about, having this very well documented thing we can all stand behind that represents this era of the band, which just felt good as we were kind of getting to see first cuts and just, getting closer to releasing it.
Yeah, but did you feel like you were looking at a part of the band's history when you were watching it? You're like, okay, we're kind of done with this.
A little bit.
A little bit.
Time to move on.
It was more of a good feeling. It was like, I'm so glad that we have this, and that everyone can see this forever. And I feel closure, if you will, with that era. It's like it gives us the license to move forward because we know we captured it well, or at least we hope so. We think so. I think it turned out pretty good.
And when we were doing it, I remember like specifically playing stuff, certain parts that maybe I'd play a little different night tonight. Be like, how do I want this part to be remembered? Actually,
do the right one tonight.
Choose the right choice for like whatever this build-up section.
Yeah.
So that was kind of an interesting thing to have that bird's eye while doing the show of like, all right, what after all these years of playing these arrangements, what's the right version of this arrangement for whatever for people to see in perpetuity.
Right. Well, on film's one thing, but let's face it, if you're doing your job right at a show, people are closing their eyes and rocking out, so it doesn't matter what you're wearing up there on stage.
Yeah. And it was only a brief period that we got to actually do the Quadrochrome tour. But yeah, the shows were
plus
people had a great time.
A lot of those outfits don't really breathe. So I'm sure you're in a lot of situations with hot and humid, and you got to put on like a 3-piece blue suit, and it's like, oh, that's
the main reason we switched.
Was it? I'd always go with like the real thin pants, That's my most breathable look most nights.
Yeah, I'm all about the comfort.
We'll do a shorts and sandals tour
coming up.
Just all rat dog covers.
Yeah, but I'm sure when you stepped in some of those hot, humid places where the air conditioning sucked, it was some of those smaller clubs, especially down south.
Sweating before you go on stage. It's not a good look at the end.
I've gotten heat exhaustion a couple times. One of them was at that Northside Festival in Chicago. I'm not trying to blame anything on them or anything, but
then at Lock-In too.
At Lock-In too, yeah. It was just when you're playing at like high noon or whatever, maybe just after, so that the sun's actually hitting you directly on, and it's like 90 degrees outside, and you're in a suit and jumping around and playing for an hour. The adrenaline's going, so you don't realize it, and then I've become more cautious of that, and I try not to sort of give it all up in the first few songs and save a little bit of energy, because you literally your body temperature rises too high. And so I've learned that lesson, and some more breathable clothing.
And more breathable clothing. So what are some of your biggest revelations you've had in all this time at home over the past 3 months?
How much time you get?
Hey, do you want to? I don't know. I mean, first of all, just the last couple of weeks have just been really sad. I know that a lot of people feel hope, and I'm amongst those people, and I'm trying to just learn and listen as much as I can and be positive change. And but it's just also really heartbreaking. And I heard what you were talking about before, Jeff, about just now the other side starting to
Mobilize.
mobilize, and that's really scary considering who that is right now. And I just want to do absolutely everything I and we as a band can do to just put power into the right hands, the people who are on the side of equality and love and respect. And it's just like classic racism and divisiveness that we're seeing from it's absolutely heartbreaking. And I'm ashamed to have spent so much time. I mean, we knew it, right? It's like we've seen it happening, and I don't know. I think we just don't want to believe it. And so I'm glad that it's coming to light now. I'm sad that it took this long, but I'm scared and hopeful at the same time, I guess. Oddly, I don't really know. I'm still formulating feelings on it.
It's definitely a strange combination. I feel like certainly for me, and I think a lot of us. It's just there's definitely a hopeful element. The amount of sort of reflection people are engaging with, and personal responsibility people are engaging with, that are on our side of the argument or on our side of the way of thinking. I think it's really inspiring.
Right,
yeah. Who are on the right side of history, obviously. But obviously, then you look around and I sometimes flip on Fox or other things to try to see what we're up against, and
that's the worst.
Fucking terrifying.
But you got to do it. But it's so painful. I was watching some scary stuff on Facebook yesterday, and man, there's these feeds of videos that are just designed to I mean, they tell certain people exactly what they want to be hearing.
Oh, absolutely.
It's scary.
There was a reporter that started a Facebook that was totally opposite of his political beliefs, because he was a liberal, and he started a right-wing Facebook page where he started liking all Trump and all his followers and stuff like that. And he was amazed with what he was getting, and more amazed at how it was affecting his psyche and his perspective on things.
Yeah.
Well, maybe as he started making tons of money from it, he's like, actually, maybe this is a good idea.
Well, no, I think wasn't the idea that he wanted to see exactly what the people that were saying these ideas that seemed.
Oh, yeah.
Right. You want to see what the people that don't have the same opinion have.
Insert myself in there and see what this is. Interestingly, I watched The 13th last night. Again, I'd seen it years ago. And this sort of goes without saying, but it was just, I mean, the movie's incredible and well, maybe not shocking isn't the right word, but very informative and important. But the thing that was amazing to me is how many of the images from each different era, between the civil rights movement, pictures from Jim Crow could have been interplaced or, could have been exchanged with videos and pictures of the last 2 weeks, just with different like automobiles in the background.
It's incredible.
And that was just powerful in the reality of history repeating itself, and that being a big part of what we need to do. What we need to do to create change right now is be aware of and learn about history, so that we can somehow break these same cycles that have been happening for the entire history of our country, and in many ways other parts of the world too.
And a lot of that, I mean, that movie was made in 2016, I believe.
Yeah, it was before Trump won, I think, or right around when he won.
No, well, yeah, you might be right. I'm actually.
Yeah, he was running.
He's in it. He's in it.
It was in his campaign, but I don't think.
Yes, it was during his campaign.
I see. Yeah. But I'm also scared right now, and I've been thinking and talking a lot about this lately. Of each side is in our own feedback chamber, where we all agree with each other, and we unfriend and we unfollow the people who we disagree with. It happened a lot in 2016, and we saw how that played out. And I play into that sometimes. I'm guilty of it sometimes too, and I'm trying to learn how to engage in discussions with people who, although I think they're morally reprehensible, I want to. And plenty of people who aren't, who are just on the fence.
Well, ultimately the problem is trying to change people's opinions with a Facebook post. And people are so attached to their opinions that no matter what your argument, no matter how sane you are, no matter where you're coming from, they're not going to get it. They're not going to see it because of your Facebook post. I'm amazed if they would. But, I'll tell you what, I've watched many of these videos, and then the next thing you know, someone's like, hey, have you seen Candace Owens?
I know.
You can watch everyone, and then all of a sudden someone throws that up at you.
I went down that whole rabbit hole of a lot of videos like that yesterday, and it was after a day of being not so civil and just shouting and realizing, okay, maybe that was satisfying for a second, but like that's not solving anything. I do believe you can have discussions because I've seen it in personal circles, groups of people where minds are shifting in what I think is the right direction, and it has to be a conversation.
Well, the amazing thing really is when you see these protests in Montana and Idaho and Arkansas and all these very big strongholds of conservatism, you're seeing Black Lives Matter protests, and you're seeing a lot of it with the youth, and him mobilizing the youth against them is probably the worst thing that he could do.
Well, the thing I was going to say just too is that, I think in terms of finding constructive things outside of Facebook posts or frustrating sort of videos that you can watch to sort of educate yourself, and then also outside of feedback loops of your own social world, is trying to just focus all your effort on, voter registration and getting
actual change.
The only way we're going to actually affect the change here is at the polls. I mean,
voter registration, and I also think this defund the police thing, they got it almost right. It should be defund politics. You defund politics, you're going to defund the police. One's going to lead to the other.
How about refund mental health?
Right.
How about refund me?
But that's certainly part of it.
It's I almost wish there was a less scary name for it, because what it's setting out to do is really important, and it's so easy for people who don't understand it to run away and be like, "Oh, these liberals are crazy. Defund the police. This is insanity." But like, as they tend to do, they're not looking into what it actually means and what actually is. The police are doing way too much. They need to separate it into more specialized units that deal with different things: homelessness, mental health.
And a lot of it's just trying to get people hopped up on hysteria, and distract. It's a colossal game of distraction. So what do you guys, what's on your agenda? What's coming up?
Well, I mean, back
to voter registration.
Yeah, voter registration. And and I don't think voting, I think you were about to correct yourself too. I don't think voting is the only way.
Yeah.
You were about to say it, but
I was going to say, I didn't mean it's the only way.
Both.
What I meant is it is one of the most concrete ways to affect change. I think that education, personal education, learning about history and learning about, Black history, and making sure that the people in your life are reading and seeing things that maybe they're not otherwise going to find without your help. That's equally, if not more important. Voting is maybe a way to create some change on the structural level that is obviously just so depressing and, reinforcing of all these problems right now.
And obviously we don't want to go on like forever about this. We can talk about a few other things, but it is, for a lot of people, the voting, the two-party system is like, things need to start changing on a local level, and communities themselves need to be invested in. And that's, so, I mean, the backdrop of COVID and all this stuff, I think, is strangely, why and how this is all happening. People can't escape it. They can't look away from what's going on, and it's been strange. We've been keeping busy, as you said. We put together the sets that you've seen, the ones I mentioned, which was a ton of work. This week, I'm kind of, as far as what's next, I'm kind of taking a step back and trying to use this time where we're not touring to reassess myself, my own viewpoints, where I want to put my energy, and not just only in music. I mean, tons of musical projects that I'm working on, Turkuaz and others, but just focusing on, realigning where I sit on things, what I'm prepared to do about things. And that's the only thing for the future. Otherwise, I think we're waiting to hear what the next move is and when live music might come back. We don't really know.
I mean, we want to play, and
we'd love to play.
Well, we want you to play too. I think all your fans do, and everybody out there. We're all on the same page. We all need music. I think now, and especially now more than ever. And what you guys have been doing online, it's amazing. And just keep the forward motion is the most important thing, I think, at this time, is to keep positive and to keep moving forward. I appreciate having the time to talk to you guys. Taylor, we finally got it done. We had a little bit of technical difficulties there.
I'm on my phone here now. I don't know why my computer is freaking out. Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's what I told Jason. I'm like, tell him to use his phone, because sometimes that works better. So obviously it would work good. But thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Come on, anything you want to throw in before we go?
One other thing we have is a variety show we're making that's going to be coming out here pretty soon. That I think is a cool idea. I think it was, primarily spearheaded by Dave's wife, Danny, who's, our creative director, and does so many things for the band. But, we're going to be putting together this,
we're trying for a monthly variety show.
A monthly variety show that's going to be a combination of, archival footage, some really fun stuff that we're doing with some friends, which I don't necessarily know if I should reveal yet, but some stuff we've been working on. It's going to be pretty funny. So there'll be some comedy, some archival stuff, some unreleased live footage. So that's got another idea to have sort of a monthly, show for people to check in on the band outside of just sort of releasing more content of us either playing live or doing these remote concerts. That's another, element to the band we're going to try to put out there.
And also to answer for the third time, I guess, your question about what's next, what's coming up. We're continually working on tons of new recordings, and we've gotten so much better at working remotely. We have many, many, many songs that we're working on and, waiting for the right time to release, ideally when we can hit the road again. But, we may trickle things out if that doesn't seem like it's going to happen in the near future. We want to keep people entertained. That's why we're taking part in these online festivals and just trying to keep cranking out content amidst all the madness going on with everything. But we want to keep being a source of joy. So that's what we care about.
Yeah, I mean, so much of the music we were working on before this started is like some of the music I'm most proud that we've ever made. Some of my favorite stuff we've ever made is in the can or close to in the can in Dave's computer. So I'm definitely excited for people to hear.
It's backed up in the cloud too. Don't worry.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear it, just in case. Just in case. Yeah. Well, thanks, guys. Have a great night tonight, and we look forward to seeing you live soon and hanging out and shaking our booties.
Thanks, man. Thank you, Jeff.
All right. Thanks, Taylor. See you, Taylor. Bye, Dave. There you go. Turkuaz checking in. I wore the color today because those guys aren't wearing the color. So I brought the color to the show. And now we're going to go down in the Boondocks to our friends Umphrey's McGee, who are somewhere in Michigan. Hello, Kevin Browning, hey. Joel Cummins. How are you guys?
Doing great. How are you?
Good. I saw your broadcast last night.
And?
I liked it. I thought it was really good. I thought it was one of the better things I've seen come out of a bunch of guys sitting around a garage. It reminded me of the way like you guys must have been rehearsing when you were kids, when you first started, sitting around in one little room like that.
I mean, even as adults, we still rehearse like that, Chuck. Believe it or not. Yeah, it was really nice to be playing again, and there was a lot of work to kind of get the studio ready and to have it fully functional for us to both come in the day and work on new music, and then also to do some live streaming at night.
How much of your gear did you bring?
Not that much. Brought a fair amount of additional and supplemental recording gear. Jake's got a great setup, permanent here all the time, including drum kit and a lot of the instrumentation, and
all the keys and everything like that.
Yeah, pedal boards, guitars. Andy brought some hand drums and some perk. Other than that, it was a lot of recording gear and microphones and video gear and drones and so forth and so on.
It sounded like the easiest setup ever for you guys. He's already got everything in the room.
I'm not sure that Greg and our engineers would agree with that.
Once you arrange it, you have to arrange it all. I mean, it looked great. The camera shots were great, and you could feel the energy. It was great to see you guys vibing with each other and getting into it again. How'd it feel, Joel?
I mean, it was the big concern was, of course, can we really improvise like we do without being able to necessarily see each other all the time or have talkback mics, and so yeah, it felt good to kind of go off the cuff a little bit. And then we also had Jake do a little bit of directing in there into the microphone so people could kind of hear. We figured, we would just let people in on like the talkback mic thing a little bit.
So is that what he's doing during the shows? Is he like, or all you guys are doing that to each other?
Yeah, I mean, we all call off different stuff. Chris will call off stop keys sometimes to the guitar players. We'll call key changes occasionally through the talkback mics. but sometimes we'll just use the visual cues that we do as well.
Chris likes to call for a lot of no keys, less keys sections, but it never goes over all that well.
Yeah, he's like, stop embarrassing me out here. I'm like, I'm not trying to embarrass you, man. I'm trying to push you. Yeah, so
well, you're the third percussive member of the band.
I mean, I consider myself the first or the second, but if it's number 3 to you, no problem.
Well, okay. All right, so I want to know who made the most mistakes last night.
Wow,
long and distinguished.
Probably
list, really.
the viewers who purchased the stream. A lot of mistakes out there. I don't know, Ryan. Who do you think made the most mistakes last night?
If you do it twice, it's jazz.
He said if you do it twice,
That's right. That's Miles Davis, right?
Yeah. I think Ryan had the first mistake.
Mask related.
He had a mask-related error.
Oh, hello, Master Stasek.
This is how Forrest Gump says hello from his boat.
Oh, very nice.
What's up?
How did you feel last night?
Felt really good, man. I didn't realize how much might have missed these. My wife. I didn't realize how much I missed these blokes, and how much enjoyment it was really going to bring when it became because we've been packing in so much information with new songs and new material and rehearsing and getting the chemistry back and just performing, even though it was to nobody, it was special. It felt really good. When I laid my head down for a deep slumber around 1 a.m., I was a pleased, satisfied man. You
were happy because you not really played with other people live since this all started, right?
Well, I mean, actually, I've played with Doom Flamingo a couple times. We've done some safe social distancing recordings in empty venues, but I've not played with my Umphrey's boys.
Oh, so you got a little bit of your yayas out there.
A little bit of the yaya. A little bit.
Just a little bit. And what was the general vibe? Like, was it hard to not play with people? Like, to understand that there's people watching, but then there's no one in the room? I mean, was that?
No, not for me. It was it was just so exciting to be playing music and actually performing with my homies that I didn't ever feel like there was an awkwardness of all the people not wearing pants at home watching us.
Did you have any highlights?
Yeah, all 90 plus minutes.
Did you want to play more when it was over? Where you're like, wait a second, we need to play more.
Yeah, that's what today's for. But yeah, a little gas in the tank.
A little gas in the tank.
Yeah.
Did you guys play? Because I missed a little bit when I was driving home. Did you play any of your new songs last night?
We teased. We teased part of a new song, but we're gonna hold on to those for trying to write a new record, get some new material out there.
You mean while you're there over these couple days, you're writing a new record?
Well, I mean, we're a part of it. Yeah, we probably don't have all of it done yet, but we've got, man, I think we have 8 new things recorded that no one's heard. So that's a good start. That's pretty productive for.
Does that include your jazz keys at the end?
My jazz cabbage?
Yes, it does.
I did it's called interludes, man. Interludes. Yeah.
Why?
They're
Jeff,
before your time.
Jeff, I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
Why aren't Quaaludes a thing? Like, why don't you see Quaaludes on the market?
Well, you can find anything you want on the dark web, actually, my friend. Even Quaaludes.
Yeah, I try to spend less time on the dark web than on the real web.
You can find any methaqualone is a chemical that can be made in a test tube. You just have to have somebody that has the ingredients and knows the recipe. That's all.
I see. So what you're telling me is there clearly are Quaaludes.
I've had a bootleg or two in my day. I mean, I really liked those things when I was a kid. They were a lot of fun because you didn't really have to drink, so you'd get buzz and then you'd be acting drunk, but you didn't have to pee a lot.
road trip.
Seems sensical.
Sensical. And you couldn't drive on them or anything like that. Like, I had a friend that would try, and every time he tried, he'd flip his car. So
yeah, I think that's some Wolf of Wall Street right there.
Yeah, it definitely. Have you ever tried those things?
I have not tried a Quaalude.
Oh,
That'd be fun. Let's have a Quaalude party.
I kind of feel like I'd
you
like
know
them,
what?
though. That's why
You know
I
what,
asked.
Browning? When I was in Mexico, my dive master told me this incredible story about you on a Xanax jumping off of a boat and disappearing into the blue without anyone else.
Wow, that story's changed.
Was that you?
It's changed to me as well because I don't.
Was
I
it? Was
think you get the wrong Mr. Pickford residence altogether.
No, it might have been. I don't think it was Vince.
This is in Cozumel.
Yeah,
The salty.
salty endeavors.
Salty endeavors.
Our boy Henry.
Yeah, done some nice diving there. Never on Xanax though. I usually don't mix Xanax and scuba.
I
diving.
wouldn't. No, I wouldn't.
You do have one story in cowboy boots where you mistook.
I do. This is Vegas in. Geez, what year was that, Joel?
05.
House of Blues.
Before time.
Las Vegas, 05. Says Stasic. That's definitely in the zip code. I was still running front of house at the time, and at set break, it had been a long day of rehearsals and work, and I thought I was eating an Adderall, and I ate a Xanax at set break. It was Halloween, so I'm dressed up as a cowboy. I got cowboy boots on. All of a sudden, I'm like feeling kind of drowsy, and my knees are wobbling. I'm like, geez, I thought that should be kicking in, and then I realized as I'm walking out to the console to mix set 2 that I accidentally eaten a Xanax.
That must have been some great sound that second
How did
set.
it sound?
It was slow, just a little slow.
Browning.
Just some Barolo tonight, though. Good. Clean
Yes. So what's on the docket for the evening?
Well, why don't you ask Mr. Bayless right here?
Where is there?
Don't reveal the
From the neck down. Hi, Brandon.
I can come up. I can meet you. I can meet you up.
All right. What's up, dude?
How'd it go last night?
Pretty okay.
It sounded
Actually,
great.
I teared up a little bit in the beginning. I was
What
telling myself,
was it emotional to be playing again? I mean, it has to be. You guys have been together for 30 fucking years all the time, and then all of a sudden you're not together for 90.
Rounding up. 7.
Oh, sorry, 15 years. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Right, it's fine. No, I think I don't know if it was emotional for other people, but I was like, there was a moment where halfway through I thought to myself, oh, right, this is what I do and who I am. Oh, I remember this.
You were lost, and now you're
I am found. God bless.
Well, let me tell you, I've lost my identity in this whole thing because I don't know the next time I'm going to pick up a camera. So I totally feel it because I don't know who I am right now. I'm some guy in front of a microphone. So
Now you know what I feel like.
yeah, kind of. I don't have the screaming fans in front of me though, or
I
the
don't
vomiting fans. You don't either.
No, it was emotional in a way that I didn't expect it to. And then the other part was playing some of these songs that I haven't thought of or listened to in months. I went to go sing and I was like, I don't know if I remember the words to this song.
Oh,
But don't you do concerts of all of that stuff on Fridays?
Yeah,
But you don't remember.
no, I don't remember.
He's not playing maybe Sunday, maybe someday.
He's played maybe some.
But yeah, so tonight I expect to be more emotionally stable.
that's good.
And more reckless musically. So
Well, I thought that it was inspired. Glory in the puppet string were a good statement on the situation out there in our world. So the meaning wasn't lost on me on those 2 songs. Did you think anything else was addressing the situation that you did last night?
well, Bob Marley, man, honestly, playing Trenchtown Rock. One good thing about music, when it hits you, you feel no pain. And sometimes music, that's the important thing to remember, is it's okay to take a time out and let music kind of wash your soul down and give you enough energy to confront the reality that will be there waiting for you in 25 minutes.
Okay, so you guys are all up there together. I'm sure you're brainstorming and trying to figure out what is next. So what's next?
What's next is we're going to rock and roll. Dude, I'm living in the moment, Kravitz.
I know that. But you're also writing new music and getting shit together. So you have a path. I understand living in the moment, but you're together for a certain amount of days, and then you're going to part, and you're just going to figure it out after. Once you get home, you're going to figure out what your next steps are and stuff like that? Or is there some kind of loose plan?
Are
you going to do any driving concerts? That's what I want to know, Brandon.
We're looking at every possible option right now, and now it's more of seeing what's possible for us to pull off. But right now, I think the plan is just to keep writing, and now that we know we can pull this off, look at doing another one of these, or tuning into Joel's streams and heckling. I'm planning on doing that.
I've been waiting. I always see Annie pop up there.
Anyway, you wanted to talk to him, or do you want me to? Here, Joel wants to talk to you.
All right. I talk to Joel all the time.
All right. Well,
Joel's in my hometown. I see him.
All right. Yeah, but to answer your question, this is like the first step. We got together for the first time in 3 months, and the first day was all about just sitting in a circle and just talking. So we're just getting back.
Sounds like you're in therapy.
We're always in therapy, man. Beers and tears.
Who goes first?
But yeah, so I'm not quite sure what the answer is, because we don't really know.
Yeah, well, everybody's winging it out there. It's just nice that you guys did something. It was great to see you guys together. The vibe coming off the screen last night, just hearing the music, it was just a beautiful thing to hear some live music, you guys getting together and giving it to us. So I don't think the fans, I don't think anybody out there really gives a shit when or how you play. They just want to hear more of it.
That's what I want to hear from you guys. So
let me ask you, are you writing your quarantunes, or are these are you specifically inspired by what's going on out on the streets?
Well, there's one of the new ones is definitely I would say a reference, or at least a commentary on the current happenings. But some of these are old tunes that we're fixing up, and obviously now trying to rewrite lyrics, it's going to be hard to not be reflective of the moment. But I'm not going into this like this is quarantine song number 4,
or like Zach De La Roca.
Yeah, right. But yeah, so it's really good to see you.
Same here, and I can't wait till it's in person.
I know, man. I know.
It's been really hard, and especially since you guys were on my card. I was about to cross off 2 Umphrey show in San Diego and LA on my card, and then we all got skunked.
Well, last night counts and tonight counts.
Yeah, that's right. We're all adding it to our.
Are you talking like a punch card, like you get a free sandwich if you see a certain amount?
Yeah, like every time you see his show, you see so many Umphrey shows. I think I get a free show with every 200 shows.
I think you get a free show every time. Actually.
Yeah, that is true. I don't think I've paid for an Umphrey's ticket in a while, but you guys haven't paid for too many pictures either, so I think it's a wash.
Exactly.
Fair enough. Scratch.
It's a good synergy. I really appreciate you guys. We've been friends for a long time, and it's just so unique to be able to watch you guys grow. I've been so proud. I've always been on the Umphrey's team, and I know you guys get a lot of shit because your name sucks.
We're aware. Thanks for reminding me.
True story. But, there's a lot of love for you in the scene. You guys have always stood up for what's right, and you always deliver. I've never gone to one of your shows and been like, well, maybe one.
Yeah. Come on.
I won't be specific.
And the best part is I'll ask you, and you'll be like, you're honest. And honesty is the best policy.
Well, listen, you guys are trying to do something different every night. You're not going to be able to get in it every night, because what you're trying to do is something to connect on a different level than the typical band that goes out there. I mean, the one thing about these guys and the jam band scenes, the Turkuazes, the Umphreys, the Fishes, all you guys, is you're out there every night trying to make it fresh and new and put an interesting spin on it. And you deliver. I would say most of your fans are very happy.
You know what? I want to take this opportunity to announce that when we come back, because we're coming back, we are officially now a 1-set band.
Oh, you liked that last night, right?
Yeah. So it worked. I'm sticking with it. So.
I went to the bathroom and I was like, oh, good, set 2's coming on. I went back to the computer and turned it on. I was like, bye. I'm like, oh, shit.
Yep. Well,
try an encore tonight. Try an encore tonight.
Yeah, we'll see.
It's kind of hard when people aren't screaming for you, right? Was there some kind of disconnect for you? Brian says it was nothing, but do you guys definitely feed off the audience? I've seen it happen. So how do you get in there when the audience isn't there? How do you get into that to try to get in there?
the only way is to look at my bandmates and just be like, woohoo. You know, like trying to fabricate it.
Hey, well, so it's a good thing Chris is in the other room then.
But yeah, and we're just getting back on the horse. So baby steps in the right direction.
Well, keep it up. We're all going to be tuning in. You guys got 35 minutes. I'll let you go get ready for your show. Thank you. Is that your set list there? You know, somebody just took a screen grab of that and is flipping it backwards, by the way. Thanks, Ryan. See, who's in the truck? All right,
That's,
Joel.
Jake
We'll
Sam
see you
on the
guys
Sewer
later.
Gigs
Thanks,
one-man
Umphrey.
show.
Thank you,
All right,
Kevin.
buddy. Yep, you got it.
Appreciate you
Thank
guys.
Cheers.
Keep it
Love you,
up.
buddy.
Keep up the good work.
You too. I'm
We
bringing
look
the
forward-
color for you today as well.
I like it. I like it a lot. We'll see you
All right,
guys.
buddy.
We'll see you guys in 35 minutes.
Sounds like a plan.
All right, see you, Brendan. Take it easy. There you go, folks. Umphrey's, Turkuaz. I mean, we're bringing you top level entertainment here at 420 Live. We're not leaving anything unturned. I appreciate everybody tuning in. You guys complete me. I want you to know a couple things, that my guests get a solo pipe from Solo Pipe Venice. If you haven't seen the solo pipe, it's one of the coolest things in the world. Asher's Chocolates gives you 20% off with the 420 Live. I am working with Chet Asher right now on the 420 Live bar, which all my guests will get too, because a lot of guests don't need a pipe. So check it out. Please, if you're not registered to vote, I don't know what to tell you. You can't look out at what's happening in the world and be like, oh, I'm not going to vote. Everybody get out there. Register to vote. Take care of yourselves. I see all my friends tuning in today. Thank you guys. It's great to see you all. We will be back tomorrow, Friday, 4:20, same bat time, same bat channel. Please take care of yourselves. It's a little sunny in here today. I got like a spot on my eye. Let's see. I put it on my forehead. There you go. Yeah. Oh, there it is. So take care of yourselves. Take care of each other's. Peace, love, happiness to everybody out there. Here's the hug. Oh, we'll see you all later. Thank you guys for tuning in. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I need to get over 1,000 for some reason. Everybody's telling me. I don't know what that's about. Anyway, tune in tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel, 420 Live. Jeff Kravitz.